Hi, this is Joe again with another review. Now, quite recently, I did like a little review or preview of the Michael Jackson documentary, Leaving Neverland. It's the HBO documentary, just got a lot of controversy over it and stuff. And I did a review of it before I even actually saw the documentary, because I figured everybody's talking about it, so I figured I jumped in on that. So I did a review of what the problem I had with this story. Now over this past weekend, I finally have seen the documentary, so now I could give a proper review. So maybe I'll label it as part 2 of this review, because I actually physically saw the documentary, over this past weekend. And it is, a tough documentary to sit through, because it's a 4-hour documentary. Now, previously, when he had documentaries about Michael Jackson with his habits of molesting kids, that was usually like 2 hours, or maybe slightly over 2 hours. With the one Bashir documentary, it ran like 2 hours and 6 minutes or something, which is pretty, for any documentary, it's pretty long. This thing was 4 hours. It was about a 4-hour long documentary. And with HBO, it actually was 5 hours. 4 hours of the actual documentary and another hour with the Oprah Winfrey thing, which I'm going, eventually, if I have time, eventually I'm going to get into it. Of course, this documentary is hated by the Jackson family and the Michael Jackson estate, because it labels him as a child molester. Which, like it or not, and there's any Michael Jackson fans that have been watching this thing, you guys have to face reality. Michael Jackson is, without a doubt, a child molester. There's absolutely no question about it. And I know what some of you are going to say. You're going to say, oh, but he was acquitted. He was acquitted. He was innocent. Because he was yes, he was acquitted. And I'm going to deny that he wasn't acquitted in his 2005 trial. But because someone is acquitted doesn't mean they're 100% innocent. He was not innocent. Not by a long shot. And I'm eventually going to get into that during this review as well. Of course, once you get to the heart of the documentary is about the life story of two guys named Jimmy Safechuck, now he goes by James Safechuck, and Wade Robson. Both of them had totally two different backgrounds. Wade Robson was from Australia, and of course Jimmy Safechuck was from the United States. And both of them, both their paths crossed Michael Jackson's path, and both of them ended up being sexually involved. Well, Wade Robson more than Jimmy Safechuck. Both of them got molested. In the case of Wade Robson, he actually had gay sex. I am not kidding, folks. He actually had gay sex with Michael Jackson. Now, at this point, I should give a warning. If there's any kids having to watch this video, please turn it off now, because it's going to get pretty. I don't know how graphic it could be, but it's going to get pretty graphic, right? So if there are any parents that are supervising the kids watching this video, please, parents, you can watch this thing. Well, adults can watch this thing, but kids, forget it. Please turn it off now. And with Wade Robson's case, he won a contest in Australia a dance contest, even though he was underage for this dance contest. It's supposed to be like 6 or 7 years old and up, and he was 5 years old at the time. So the judges decided to let him, doesn't do a normal routine for younger kids, for a kid his age, and the judge decides, he was so much better than the kids older than he was. So he decided to give this kid the award, and the prize was to do a meet and greet with Michael Jackson when he was in Australia doing his tour for his newest album at the time, which was his album Bad. which was the follow-up album after he did his enormous album Thriller. This was the next album he made after Thriller. It was bad. And so he got to meet Michael, and he says, "Oh, it was a dancer. Did a little dance routine for Michael. So, oh, I wish you would have known sooner. And we could put you on stage and do. You have kids dance. You pull kids out of the audience and have them dance at the end of the show. And it's a fun band. How you do that?" And he wanted to do it, but Ray's mother had to sign off for him. He says, "Oh, since we have tickets for tomorrow's concert as well, so we're going to be here anyway, so might as well, do it, or let Ray do it." So of course he does, and Michael decided to bring the family out to California to meet him in California, and then the family says, "Oh, we're going to go to the Grand Canyon," and he says, "Oh, would you mind letting your son stay with me for a week?" And he was, I think he was like 7 years old at the time. It was like 2 years later. And the family said, for some stupid reason, the family said yes. And my friend was my kid, said, "No, he's coming with us." And Michael kept pressuring, the mother, Ray Robson's mother, to let him stay with him. And of course, she was stupid enough to say yes. Because he didn't want to say no to the kid because he was crying over it. Said, "Oh, let me see with Michael, let me see with Michael." And the mother was stupid enough to say yes. Because she was much more fascinated with Michael Jackson than her son was. Because she liked the celebrity portion of it. She got trapped by Michael's celebrity. So she stayed. He let her stay with him. She let her own son stay with Michael for a week, and he slept with literally slept, not only slept in the same bed, but actually had sex with him and a 7-year-old. Because Michael performed oral sex on him, and not only that, but he had anal sex with the kid. And it was really disturbing, really sick to hear the graphic details. I mean, it is pretty graphic, the details that Ray Robson had describing what was happening to him. And Jimmy Safechuck described almost the same thing, even though he didn't go as far as Ray did with Michael. Michael also performed oral sex on Jimmy Safechuck. Now, Jimmy Safechuck was the guy who did the Pepsi commercial. Back in, I think it was the late 80s, he did a Pepsi commercial with Michael. The commercial was Jimmy goes into Michael Jackson's dressing room and he tries on the hat. Jimmy does. He tries on the hat, tries on the sunglasses, tries on the jacket, does it. Michael Jackson spins some of Michael's famous dance moves, and Michael starts standing in the corner of the dressing room and says, "Looking for me?" You're real cute. It was a real cute commercial. And after that, he did other things with Michael in terms of professionally. I'm talking about. Goes around with him on his tour in the United States, his band tour, and he also stayed with Michael for a while. I mean, he did almost exactly the same thing, except he didn't have anal sex with Jimmy. When he tried to, but Jimmy didn't want to do it. But he did everything else with Michael, including masturbation. Michael showed him how to masturbate. They masturbated each other. Same thing with Ray Robson, and he did oral sex with Jimmy Safechuck as he did with Ray Robson. And so that was all disturbing stuff. And Jimmy's mother was with him when we were in Paris, and they were in separate rooms. Jimmy stayed with Michael, and the mother stayed in the room, not only in a different room. It wasn't even on the same floor in the hotel. It was in a different floor altogether. But a couple of times when Jimmy's mother came up to the room and had her ear to the door, wanted to know what the hell was going on, and all she was able to hear was like they were reading books together, or watching TV, and she couldn't get into the room to find out what's going on. You gotta have some control over your kid, because these parents, these two mothers in particular, Jimmy's mother and Ray's mother, never said no to their kids. My parents always used to say no to me all the time. Not all the time, but a good chunk of the time. For something like this, my parents definitely would say no. I'd be mad at them, but I always did what my parents told me to do when I was a kid. This was the total opposite. They now let the kids walk all over, took advantage of them because they never said no to the kids. At first they would say no, and then eventually caved in. Because Michael kept pressuring them, but the kid kept pressuring them too. So we gained pressure from two ends, from Michael's side and the kid's side, and they eventually said yes, yeah, okay, go ahead. And then neither one of them says, if they had any ounce of common sense, they would never have let their kids have sex with Michael Jackson or be molested by him. But Michael kept putting the pressure on him. Oh, you gotta get away from your mother. It's because all women are mean. All parents are mean. And of course, both parents, at least Jimmy's mother, at first she had no common sense at first, and then she, like I said earlier, that she caved in. So she now years later couldn't believe that she was, that stupid, and she admitted that she failed as a parent. She had one job, was protecting her kid, and she said just like this, so excuse my language, she said, I fucked it up. I fucked up as a parent. And at least I'm glad to hear one of these parents who allowed a monster, which Michael Jackson was, to molest their kids. At least I'm glad that she's just as guilty as Michael for pimping out her kid like that. And that's exactly what it was. And of course, the second part of the documentary, the Leaving Neverland documentary, they also went into more details, especially when the two got married to women and how they were always standoffish a little bit because of what Michael did to these guys. I mean, there was real psychological abuse type stuff going on. And when Mae Robson was 11, that was when Michael Jackson was accused the first time of molesting a kid. And it was Joy Chandler, who was the kid who first made public accusations against Michael of molesting him. And at the time, both Wade Robson and Jimmy Safechuck, both of them defended Michael Jackson in that. And because Michael pressured both of them, I don't know how old Jimmy Safechuck was at the time, but I know Wade Robson was, because Wade Robson, a man in the documentary, was about 11 years old at the time. And he knew Jordy when he met him, when he had a bunch of kids at Michael's ranch, Neverland Ranch. So he saw Joy Chandler there. And of course, years later, he saw Gavin there as well, the second accuser. In 2003 accuser, Gavin. And Ray Robson says that he was, and Jimmy said they would both be pressured by Michael to testify to defend them, saying nothing happened. That this kid is that Joy Chandler was a liar and all that stuff. So it was really Michael who pressured these two guys. Plus, I'm sure he did this to others as well. Pressured other kids to testify that nothing happened. But to pressure these guys, these kids, were kids at the time, to testify for him, oh, Michael's the sweetest person in the world. He's so loving, he's so caring for children. He always wanted to help children out because he never had a childhood. He wants to help other kids who were in a similar situation that he was and help them have a good childhood because he didn't have one himself. So that story, or that way of thinking that Michael had, worked on these kids. Now, oh, I never had a childhood, so I want to help these poor kids have a proper childhood. That's what Michael did to convince these kids to help testify for him and got them into his bedroom to molest them, and to perform oral sex on these kids. Of course, Ray also, I think also Jimmy, I think also said that he was shown pornography. He was also fed alcohol as well, which is almost the same story that Gavin had years later in 2003. He was given alcohol, he was shown pornography, and all that stuff, which of course, unfortunately, the jury in that case just didn't believe. And I don't think they believed the kid, but they didn't believe the mother. And because of Gavin's mother, they threw out the verdict, or they acquitted Michael in 2005 in his trial, because they blamed the mother for putting the kid in a situation, which is the only way possible to get Michael Jackson off on not only the 2005 case, but any accusation. Was to blame the mother for putting the kid in that spot, and which is the only thing that made sense. But blaming the mother doesn't mean that it didn't happen, or putting the blame on Gavin's mother for putting her son in that situation doesn't mean it didn't happen. I believe it happened. And I know we're going to get crap for this, but I'm glad I'm disabling the comment section, because Michael Jackson did do this stuff. And he did it to 4 kids now, at least publicly. And there's no doubt in my mind that Michael Jackson molested others. And I'm going to get into the other 2 guys in a minute, who I think he also molested. And when he was accused, when Michael was arrested, finally arrested for molesting a kid in 2000. He was actually arrested in 2003, and the trial was in 2005. He contacted, after many years, he contacted both Wade Robson and Jimmy Safechuck. Contacted both of them and asked them again to testify for him. And Jimmy Safechuck said no. He said he said no to Michael. And the reason why he did it, because, hey, Michael, I lied to you in 93 when you were accused the first time. I am not going to lie for you again now. Because if I lied for you now, I'm going to be accused of perjury. Because I can't testify saying that you didn't do anything, and we both know that you molested me. And I don't want to lie in court. That's what Jimmy said to him. I covered your ass the first time, I'm going to cover your ass the second time. I'm not going to do it. So because Jimmy didn't want to do it, didn't want to lie for Michael the second time, Michael then accused him of being an enemy to Michael. Anybody who doesn't kiss Michael's ass is now an enemy. Is now Michael Jackson's enemy. Not just Michael, but anybody who works for him, his family's going to go after him, which they are now. But I'm also going to go, my fans are going to go after you too. My diehard fans who love me no matter what, they're also going to all go after you. And that's what's going on. That is what's going on now, actually. And Jimmy and Ray Robson agreed to testify at Michael's trial, saying going to defend him. He did that, but also a guy who I feel no question about was also molested and was also Michael Jackson's lover, Macaulay Culkin, who star of Home Alone. And when Michael saw Home Alone, the original Home Alone movie, Michael was obsessed with Macaulay Culkin. And he had him staying in his house and stuff. And I have no doubt in my mind that Macaulay Culkin was molested by Michael, but was also his lover as well. Ray Robson was his first lover, and Macaulay Culkin was the second and the most famous lover, as well as Emmanuel Lewis, from Webster. I feel he was also molested by Michael Jackson, but neither one of them because they probably got paid off by Michael Jackson or Michael Jackson's people to say nothing happened. I don't believe that. Then after these three guys, well, actually four. After four people came out, and you think there's four, I think it's more like 40, at least, or 400 kids probably got molested by Michael Jackson. I mean, it's not four people publicly came out saying Michael Jackson molested them. And including, of course, Jordan Chandler in 1993, Gavin, I don't know his last, I forgot, can't pass out his last name. I think Gavin in 2003, no, Jimmy Safechuck and Ray Robson. All four came out. They all had, I know Jordan Chandler because he's under a confidentiality agreement, so he can't publicly, I don't know if it's still in existence because Michael's been dead for 10 years. If it's still under that, but but he never came up with, and neither well, Gavin's not under any legal confidentiality agreement. I don't know why he's never made a statement today. With all this hoopla over this documentary, I don't know why he never came out with a statement. I'm talking about Gavin. So when the trial ended, and Wayne Robson was very upset because he knows that he was lying under oath, and he said, and Wade said in the documentary, "I'm sorry if the two of them, Gavin and Jordan, have been watching this thing. I want to apologize for not standing up for you guys. I should have stood up with you. And other kids who were molested by Michael, you all should have stood by you." And he did apologize in the documentary to them for not standing up for Gavin and for Jordy Chandler. And it's, at least now he owned up to his mistake in defending Michael Jackson. At least I'm glad he did that. And I have to give him respect, props for it. Of course, when Michael Jackson died in 2009, Jimmy's mother said in the documentary, "I'm glad he's dead." And that was my reaction too. I thought, naturally, you don't wish somebody ill, no matter how big of a celebrity they are, no matter how many bad things they did, you don't wish him dead. And my first reaction was, I'm glad that he's not going to molest any more kids, and that no one else is going to come out and accuse him of molesting him. At least not anybody knew, obviously. And then I think it was like about a year after he died. That's when Wade Robson came out and made his. I think like about a year later, I think it was, when Wade Robson came out, and now at this time, Wade Robson was a successful choreographer with Britney Spears and NSYNC, and he came out with a statement saying that he was molested by Michael Jackson, and he was suing Michael's estate. But the problem was that he was past the statute of limitations, and so he couldn't sue. So the case was, unfortunately, was thrown out of court. And Jimmy Safechuck, he never sued, or he never came until when Jimmy was interviewed for the documentary. He never sued Michael when Michael was alive, and he also never sued the estate when Michael died. He never sued the estate either. So he never did anything legally, through the legal system against Michael. Or he never filed any charges against him, and he should have. I don't know why only two kids formally accused Jackson, and no one else did. And by watching this documentary, you can understand why. Because that always bothered me. I mean, if all these kids were that he supposedly molested, how come only two filed formal charges? In one case, of course, he went to trial for. That's because Michael put so much pressure on these kids to testify. Look what happened with Johnny Chandler, for example. I mean, the family put so much, not only Michael Jackson himself, but his family, his entourage, his family, plus Michael's fans, were putting so much pressure on him because he was getting, I'm sure at the time, that Jordan Chandler was getting death threats. His father was getting death threats. Joy's father was getting death threats. And Jordan Chandler's father was suffering through cancer at the time. And he a few years ago, especially around the time, and it was just after Michael died, Jordan Chandler's father killed himself. And Katherine Jackson made an infamous statement in an interview. See, he lied because he killed himself. He felt so guilty of falsely accusing my son, he killed himself. That was not the case. Jordan Chandler's father killed himself because he was dying of cancer and couldn't deal with the pain anymore of his cancer. That's why he killed himself, not because of he felt so guilty of falsely accusing Michael Jackson. That's how the Jackson family twists everything. To say everything, all the accusations were fake and stuff. I believe now that at first in my previous video I didn't believe Ray Robson at all because he testified in the trial that Michael Jackson never touched me. Now all of a sudden he's coming out with all these graphic details of what Michael did to him. I should also mention that in Jimmy Safechuck's case, Michael actually gave him a wedding ring to Jimmy Safechuck and had like a mock marriage and actually gave him a wedding ring, and to this day Jimmy Safechuck still has that ring that Michael gave him. And even with that, it's disturbing. Ray Robson I don't think Ray Robson ever got a ring from Michael, a wedding ring, but Jimmy Safechuck did, and I thought that was the most disturbing thing I heard in the whole of any story about Michael accusing molesting a kid, and that was so disturbing, and that Jimmy still has the ring because his hands were shaking holding that ring because of the impact that had and the memory of what Michael did to him. Of course, after watching this whole documentary, you had Oprah Winfrey did a 1-hour show, like an after show. So if you watch it, it's like 5 hours, all together. And Oprah had Jimmy and Wade on the show, plus the director of the creator of this documentary there as well. But Oprah didn't really talk to the director that much, just the two guys, because Oprah said, and when she still had a original talk show on regular television before the Oprah Winfrey Network, she said that she was a victim of sexual abuse as well. So she did over 200 shows of her original talk show over the course of 25 years. She had over 200 shows dealing with sexual abuse, because it was like one of the main subjects that she had on her show because of her own experiences. And so she dealt with it. I also had actor Anthony Edwards, Goose in Top Gun, and one of the original Nerds in the original Nerds movie and Top Gun, and he said he was sexually molested when he was a teenager. I was thrilled because I didn't even hear that story about Anthony Edwards, because I know he was a good actor. He had some iconic roles. At least 3 roles I can think of on the top of my head that he was in. Plus, he was also in the movie The Client with Susan Sarandon. So he had a ton of good roles in his career. And to hear him say that he was sexually molested when he was a teenager, he wasn't a little boy like Ray Robson was. That was hard to hear. But Oprah asked the director of the film, why did he do the subject? Is that he wasn't gunning after Michael personally, because he heard about these two guys and how they were molested, and would do a documentary on sexual abuse. That's how it started, and it involved in the whole thing with leaving Neverland, and that's how it evolved into this documentary about Michael Jackson molesting these two guys. And that's what I did. And so, to do this documentary, I mean, I thought he did a great job. It's a great documentary. It's great. And everybody should watch this thing. I know Michael Jackson fans are going to watch this thing because they all consider this a hack job. Why are you picking on Michael now? He's dead for 10 years. Why are you going to rest in peace? And all this stuff. And hey, I mean, there's still stories coming out by the Catholic Church like 20, 30 years later. So, or child molesting priests in the Catholic Church. So it's only natural. I'm telling you now, maybe not today, maybe not 20, 30 years down the line, maybe Macaulay Culkin is finally going to come out, and Emmanuel Lewis are finally going to come out and say Michael Jackson molested me. That's what I'm waiting for. It's for these two guys to come out. And if these two guys come out and say, hey, Michael Jackson molested me, which I believe they were, right? Because I believe Macaulay Culkin and more Macaulay Culkin than Emmanuel Lewis, but I think Emmanuel Lewis was molested as well by Michael. I'm telling you now, these two guys were molested by Michael Jackson as well. And who knows if and when that story is ever going to come out of these two guys. I'm telling you, these two guys are going to come out and make a statement. And somebody's even make a statement already. But I'm sure that they're going to come out and say, maybe years from, you have to wait, and I'm sure you're going to wait to remember when the old men on the deathbed probably going to say Michael Jackson molested me. That's probably what's going to happen with these two guys. Because they still defend Michael. After watching Leaving Neverland, to all you Michael Jackson fans who believe that Michael Jackson didn't do anything, all of you Michael Jackson fans out there are fucking morons. Okay? I have to say, excuse my language, but it's true. Michael Jackson is, without a doubt, a child molester. No doubt about it. Because he is. And if you think that he's not, then you say you're a moron. You're an idiot. You're mentally retarded people. I'm thinking that Michael Jackson, especially the one idiot at his trial, was throwing doves in the air when for all the counts when he was acquitted on all 10 counts they had in his trial. You guys are morons. Right? Idiots and everything else. You are. And you're all pathetic people who believe that Michael Jackson isn't a child molester. You're all idiots. Okay? You are. And anybody who says otherwise, you're an idiot. Any one of you who believes that Michael Jackson is not a child molester is an idiot. I have to say it right now. So this is my I know I'm speaking over three minutes now. This is my official review of Leaving Neverland. So please click on the video, please subscribe to my channel, please forward this video on your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews on my YouTube channel at rowdyc.com, that's WDY, and at c.com, that's the homepage of my reviewer. Christy Moore, and please check out all of his videos on his website as well. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.